Welcome to AAA Short Stories by Nelson Nick. I'm your host, Nelson Nick, and this is what we have for today's podcast. Yes, the following episodes are about a documentary being produced for television by Rocco Anastasio from Anastasio Productions. Here we have an interview of Staff Sergeant Gonzalez, a non-commissioned officer from when he started in the military, during the military and special ops missions. I hope you enjoy these following episodes, and we will do our best to make sure that you like what we're doing so we continue doing it.
Look for drugs, confiscate drugs, etc. We got very lucky because we managed to arrest 1,500 people. We had 15 prosecutions, and we had over 5,000 items of drugs and paraphernalia. Operation Counterpush, we managed to take down 5 dealers, and that part in the 80s, Pablo Escobar was really working hard on getting his cocaine to the United States, but it wasn't only the United States. We're talking about cocaine epidemic around the planet. It's not like today. Today we have an epidemic on opioids. But for that area in Europe, the drugs that we mostly caught was hash, marijuana, cocaine, and one night doing a normal walk around through the dormitories, we discovered a dealer that had over 125 hits of LSD. So that was scary. If my dog would have touched the LSD on the nose, we would have had some real serious problems. That was the only time that I released my dog on a person. When I told them to stop, they kept on booking. I go like, it's not going to be that way. So I told Tiger, go get him. So we finally got the guy, but we didn't know that he was a dealer. He came out of the window from his dormitory, placed the box of drugs right next to the building, covered it with grass or anything that he could find, and he did this before he ran when I sent Tiger afterwards. There's a few memories that I remember during that war. It was an afternoon. We were working from 2 to 10 at night, call it the shift work. We received a tip, and the tip was that there were some guards over at the weapons storage area. And the first thing you start thinking is guards in a weapons storage area, M16s, 203 grenade launchers, vehicles to drive around the area in case there were some problems with people jumping the 2 fences. So what do we have? We have a weapons storage area. It's completely surrounded by 2 types of gates. The question was, how are we going to manage to get to the weapons storage area and make sure that we weren't shot? Because they had at least a mile long of distance that they could see trucks or anything driving towards the weapons storage area or just driving and passing through. So we were thinking about how can we get into the weapons storage area without being shot. So the commander of the guards of the weapons storage area, he went first. I went back with Tiger, but we were in military vehicles that had nothing that said police or anything of that nature. We got to the weapons storage area. The commander ordered them to open the first gate. Then he ordered the second gate. He ordered the guards out. They were put at attention. I walked through the first, second gate into the gate shack. And I told Tiger, seek, which is basically what we train our dogs to do under that command of seek. So Tiger started searching, but there was a clue. Her nose starting going up and down, which is a clue that she's smelling something. But the question is it food? Is it drugs? Is it something else? But with time, after you train the dog, you know exactly what they're smelling. So Tiger kept on smelling around the building, but then she pulled me towards the bathroom. The bathroom had several stalls, place to take a shower, etc. Pistol took me to one of the stalls. She hit a toilet paper roll, and when she smacked it with her paws, a whole bunch of bags, police officers. But if you don't work with a lot of love and a lot of playing with them, they're not going to work with you. So a very good day after that weapon storage area deal, we normally give the dog food, maximum stress diet. We called it MSD. But after that once in a lifetime operation, I went ahead and got a sirloin steak. And I went to Tiger and gave her the sirloin steak without my kennel master knowing about it. But she earned it. She really did a good job. Working with dogs, you're in a truck, you have a person with you, that's your partner. But if you're in the truck and there's a dog there, my own wife at the time cannot get close to the truck because Tiger attacked her. Tiger was attacking everyone. Nobody could get close to him. One of the scares of my life was when the base commander was certifying us for narcotics. Tiger launched and almost got him. But he said that was a good dog. So, love, loyalty, and there's a trick about training dogs. It's all called repetition. As long as you do repetition, the dog will condition itself. So when we work with the dog will automatically do its job. The prize that we had for Tiger was a ball, a very strong rubber ball that we gave her whenever she alerted. Now, if you notice, canine dogs that do drugs can be trained either to scratch and bite or to just turn around and sit. The turn around and sit is good for explosives. Can you imagine the dog biting on a bomb, then you blow up and then that's history? So, all this repetition was completely proven. The science we used was principles of conditioning. There was one time that we were giving the German police an example of how we trained our dogs. So that day I was the bad guy. So we had my wraps around my arm. The dog at a distance was a dog named Torque. He was a bomb dog, weighed about 95 pounds. When they released the dog on me being the bad guy, 95 pounds of dog at around 30, I think it was 30 or 35 miles per hour. When Torque got a hold of my arm, it was so fast that my body went with the wrap and the dog. My body twisted and my back part of the body went pop. And then I went to the ground. Torque dragged me a few more feet. Everybody started applauding and having a great time. And the dog, Torque, did a good job. He did what he was supposed to do. I just didn't know that I was paralyzed by my left leg and back pain. And I had to be taken to the hospital after all the German police left the area. And that's how my disability started. That's how it began. My twisting of my vertebrae and numbness in my left leg. So, it is so much fun to work with a dog, and you don't have to explain to the dog anything. Now, some people thought I was a little nutso because I used to talk to my dog, or basically I talk to my dog all the time. It's just that when you're working with a dog, you could speak to them like a human, but remember that the last word you use on that sentence is a command. So if I say you want to eat something, are you hungry, you want to get some food, food is the key word. Or the same thing if are you thirsty, you want to get some water, water is the command. And other than working with the dogs with verbal commands, or if not, we had gestures on our body. Like if you tell a dog sit, the gesture for the human was to raise the hand upwards in this style. If it was down, you go from the back and you go down this way, and that's when the dog went down. Or this way was when the dog pauses and stops. Let me explain something to you about the dogs. At the beginning, we had sentry dogs. If you have a security police member and you have a foe in front of you, you release the dog, which is sentry, but the only way to get the dog back is that you run after the dog, you run towards the foe, and you squeeze the neck out of the bad guy. But we were training dogs, instead of sentry, we were training dogs to do something called standoff. Standoff is that you release the dog to bite somebody, but for example, a child got in the middle, a sentry dog would have gone to the child, but a patrol dog will stop if you call him out. I remember that many directors in the past have told me that I got a loud mouth, like I speak too loud, like today. So the standoff, dogs come around, get back to you, and they heel on the left side of the leg. There is so much to do. There was one time I was so tired, I decided to sleep with Tiger in her kennel, and nobody knew. I was just crashed out, tired, and the dog was tired, and we spent the night together. But working with dogs is a lot better than working with people. They don't betray you. They don't nag. They're just your partner for life. So I think I gave you a good idea about what we did with dogs. Dogs was a lot of fun. And I still have my dog. Not Tiger or Duke, but I got a miniature pinscher that I didn't know it didn't come from a Doberman. That's another story we could talk about.
Tell me about
Is it coming decently?
Yeah.
You're not gonna believe this. Rocco, all the training I've done in my life and become one of the 12 most outstanding, and this dog right here, I never trained her to sit down, nothing. Food, water, or the word squirrel. That's the command to attack. It's pretty crazy.
Talk about that one experience you had with the bridge. Yeah.
Okay. Tiger and I, my time in Europe, that time in Europe was coming to a conclusion. Duke was the name of the bomb dog I had when I went to Eglin Air Force Base, Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Believe me, that base is great, and Fort Walton Beach is super. I was on call. Just to clarify, when I was in Europe, I was working with a drug detection patrol dog. When I went to Florida, I was working with a bomb detection patrol dog. I was on call, and I went out with my girlfriends, and we were having a ball. I managed to get home at about 4 in the morning, and I'm going like, oh my God, I'm on call, I need to crash out. I received a phone call at 6 o'clock in the morning. We had a bomb threat, and we were requested by the FBI to go up to Milton, Florida. I just went to bed at 4 in the morning. Could you imagine how I felt? So, at that time I had a Mustang 5.0. That was it. There.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. The interview with Staff Sergeant Gonzalez will continue on our next podcast, number 6.
You've got mail.